good morning, everybody. Welcome to Stay Awake with John T. Hill. I am your host, the aforementioned John Thomas Hill. And this is yet another Spreaker show. And today, we're talking about Walmart. Yes, my former employer, Walmart. Because Bloomberg.com had a damning article that makes Walmart look really, really bad. And just how bad? Well, let me go ahead and read the article to you. It's customers flee Walmart, empty shelves for Target at Costco. It's by Renee Dudley, a reporter for Bloomberg.com, posted March 26, 2013, that was yesterday, at 4:10 p.m. And the article goes as follows. Margaret Hancock had long considered the local Walmart superstore her one-stop shopping destination. No longer. During recent visits, the retired accountant from Newark, Delaware, says she failed to find more than a dozen basic items, including certain types of face cream, cold medicine, bandages, mouthwash, hangers, lamps, and fabrics. The cosmetics section, she said, looked like someone had raided it, said Hancock, 63. Walmart's loss was a gain for Kohl's, Safeway, Target, and Walgreens, the chains Hancock hit for the items she couldn't find at Walmart. And Hancock said, if it's not on the shelf, I can't buy it. You hate to see a company self-destruct, but there are other places to go. It's not as though the merchandise isn't there. It's piling up in aisles and in the back of stores because Walmart doesn't have enough bodies to restock the shelves, according to interviews with store workers. In the past 5 years, the world's largest retailer has added 455 U.S. Walmart stores, a 13% increase, according to filings and the company's website. In the same period, its total U.S. workforce, which includes Sam's Club employees, dropped by about 20,000 or 1.4%. Walmart employs about 1.4 million U.S. workers. Disorganized stores. A thinly spread workforce has other consequences. Longer checkout lines, less help with electronics and jewelry, and more disorganized stores, according to Hancock, other shoppers, and store workers. Last month, Walmart placed last among department and discount stores in the American Customer Satisfaction Index. The 6th year in a row, the company has either tied or taken the last spot. The dwindling level of customer service comes as Walmart has touted its in-store experience to lure shoppers and counter rival Amazon.com. Now, I'm not going to talk about the business part, but I'll say that I'll skip that part because it's kind of technical, so I'm going to go ahead to the next quote from Brooke Buchanan. A Walmart spokesperson said in an email statement, our in-stock levels are up significantly in the last few years. So the premise of this story, which is based on the comments of a handful of people, is inaccurate and not representative of what is happening in our stores across the country. 2/3 of Americans shop in our stores each month because they know they can find the products they are looking for at low prices. I'm going to stop reading the article right there because that is a bold-faced lie. That is corporate spin of epic proportions. Because I worked at Walmart, I saw this happen. And to say it's inaccurate and not representative of what's happening across in the stores across the country is bullcrap. I saw it in my store. I've known it in other stores. I've seen it in other stores. I've talked to many people who work in other stores, both who currently work there and no longer work there. The fact is, Walmart is doing the typical of big business. Basically, they're saying we can get more by having less people out there. But as I continue reading the article, you're going to find out that's not necessarily working. Getting worse. Last month, Bloomberg News reported that Walmart was, quote, getting worse at stocking shelves, according to minutes of an officers' meeting. An executive vice president had been appointed to work on the restocking issue, according to the document. At the Supercenter across the street from Walmart's Bentonville, Arkansas home office, note the location, salespeople on March 14th handed out samples of Chobani yogurt and Cliff Bars. 13 of 20 registers were manned with no lines, and the shelves were fully stocked. Remember, I said note the location. Later on in the article, 3 days earlier, about 10 people waited in a customer service line at a Walmart in Secaucus, New Jersey, across from the Hudson River from New York, the nation's largest city. 12 of 30 registers were open, and the lines were about 5 deep. There were empty spaces on shelves large enough for a grown man to lie down, and a woman wandered around vainly seeking a frying pan. Walmart's restocking challenge coincides with slowing sales growth. Same-store sales in the U.S. for the 13 weeks ending April 26th will be little changed. Bill Simon, the company's U.S. Chief Executive Officer, said in a February 21st earnings call. Target Premium. When times were good and people were still shopping, the lack of experience was okay, said Zeynep Tan, a retail researcher and associate professor of operations management at the MIT Sloan School of Management in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Their view has been that they have the lowest prices, and so customers keep coming anyway. You don't see that so much anymore. Shoppers are, to quote Tan, so sick of this. And Tan's research, published in Harvard Business Review, examines how retailers benefit from offering good wages and benefits to all employees. Tan says they're mad about the way they are treated or how much time they wasted looking for items that aren't there, noting the the customers. Retailers consider labor usually their largest controllable expense, an easy cost-cutting target, Tan said. That's what happened at Home Depot Incorporated in the early 2000s when Robert Nardelli, then CEO, cut staffing levels and increased the percentage of part-time workers to trim expenses and boost profit. Eventually, customer service and customer satisfaction deteriorated and same-store sales growth dropped, Tan said. But Tan also said when you tell retailers they have to invest in people, the typical response is, it's just too expensive. Adding 5 full-time employees to Walmart's U.S. supercenters and discount stores would add about a half percentage point to selling, general, and administrative expenses, according to an analysis by Poonyam Goyal, a Bloomberg Industries senior analyst based in Stillman, New Jersey. Assuming the workers earned a federal minimum wage and industry standards for health benefits, the added cost would amount to about $448 million a year, she said. In the year ended January 31st, Walmart generated $17 billion in profits on revenue of $469.2 billion. Barren Landscape. At the Kenosha, Wisconsin Walmart, where Mary Pat Tift had worked for nearly a quarter century, merchandise ready for the sales floor remains on pallets and in steel bins lining the floors of the back room, an area so full that no passable aisles remain, she said. Meanwhile, the floor of the front of the store is increasingly barren, she also said. That landscape had worsened over the past several years as workers who leave aren't replaced. Tift, 58, said, there are a lot of voids out there. A lot of voids. She oversees grocery deliveries as a member of Our Walmart, a union-backed group seeking to improve working conditions at the discount chain. Customers come in, they can't find what they're looking for, and they're leaving. Years ago, Tiff said, supervisors drilled the message into their employees' heads, in the door and to the floor. That mantra now seems impossible to execute. She also said there's no manpower in the stores to get the merchandise moving. At the Walmart store in Erie, Pennsylvania, 26-year-old meat and dairy stocker Anthony Falletta faces a similar predicament. The merchandise is in the store. It just can't make the jump from the shelf in the back to the one in the front, said Folletta, who works the second shift. There's not the people to do it. In both stores, departments have merged, leaving some areas with limited or no staff coverage, they said, and workers rarely have time to finish all of their tasks by the end of the day. In the morning, employees scramble to set out new merchandise, put returns back on shelves, and handle customer inquiries, they said. There is definitely some links broken in the chain, and I do not know how long they're going to go on like this, Tiff said. Vicious cycle. Walmart is entangled in what Ton calls a vicious cycle of understaffing. Too few workers lead to operational problems. Those problems lead to poor store sales, which lead to lower labor budgets. Ton said it requires a wake-up call at a higher level, she said, of the decision to hire more workers. Folletta, the meat and dairy stocker in Early, says his weekly hours are unpredictable. He would like to work a full 40 hours and sometimes gets only 25. Folletta and others interviewed for this story said management bonuses are based partly in minimizing store payroll. I'm going to take a moment to take a breather. I know that for a fact that is true, especially upper management in the stores. I know that is true. Back to the article. According to Rochelle Jackson, who works at the jewelry counter at a store in Springfield, Missouri, a supervisor recently explained that the number of hours available to scheduled employees corresponds to sales performance. The worse the sales number, the fewer hours available. Take a moment to pause from that article. I know that for a fact. That's the logic they use. Back to the article. We're not getting as many sales because there's simply no one to help the customer throughout the stores, says Jackson, 24, who has worked at 2 Walmart stores since 2009. I asked, why can't we have enough hours to make the store work? They said, it's orders from home office, they said, or she said. I know that for a fact. Back to the article, cutting hours. Jackson said her store began cutting hours a year ago, adding that it hasn't been really bad until this year. Staff shortages at cash registers during peak hours require Jackson and her co-workers on the sales floor to check shoppers out while we are trying to restock the shelves, help customers, and do other assigned projects, she said. The so-called Code 7 to the registers leaves a vacuum across the store's departments, she said. Customers looking for groceries ask salespeople in the shoe department for help because they can't find what they're looking for, Jackson said. In the fall, Tim White, a 36-year-old attorney, tried to buy wall paint at a Walmart near his home in Santee, California. You wait 20 or 25 minutes for someone to help you. Then the person was not trained in mixing paint, White said. It was like you have to help them help you. Take a break from the article. That is so very true. Back to the article. Maddening inability. White, who has 6 children, said while the long checkout lines irritated him, the number one reason we gave up on Walmart was his prolonged, horrible, maddening inability to keep items in stock. The store would go weeks without products he wanted to buy, such as men's dress shirts, which he found only in very large or small sizes and in popular colors, he said. White also said, pretty soon they were even out of those. I would literally check every so often at different Walmarts. They would go 2 or 3 months with the shelves looking exactly the same. When Walmart was out of stock of his preferred types of shaving lotions and razors, White would drive next door to the Target where they had it in stock all the time, he said. The White's family visits to Walmarts, which had been several times a week occurrence, became less and less frequent until they stopped this year. The 8-member clan now shops at Target and Costco. He said things may be a little bit more expensive, but not so much so that it would keep me away. Costco productivity. Tom's research is centered on retailers that include Discount Club Costco, whose chief executive officer, Craig Genelick, offers his support publicly earlier this month for legislation raising the federal minimum wage. Costco, whose offers a starting hourly wage of $11.50 in all states and employee schedules that are generally predictable, has higher worker productivity and a lower rate of turnover than its competitors, Ton found. Hancock, the retired CPA in Delaware, says she hasn't abandoned Walmart altogether because she likes the low prices on items she can find in stock. White, the shopper in California, said those low prices were critical to his family as he started out his career. When I was in law school, it really helped us out, White said. Walmart shoppers for nearly a decade, White's family continued to shop there even once he started earning more money. I was pro-Walmart even when our friends rolled their eyes, he said. I don't defend them anymore. He added a caveat. They could get us back if they fixed these problems. All right. I've seen this up front, up close and personal. This is nothing shocking to me. Walmart has been doing this for a long time. It began very, very slowly with putting fewer and fewer people in key departments. And I've noticed that very often the middle of the store in the hardline section, which is basically non-clothes and non-grocery, would pretty much have only one person, if you're lucky. They're there in the evenings. They didn't train everybody on mixing paint or making keys, even though they said they were going to. That never happened. You had people in sporting goods working in TLE because it would cover two departments. And remember, sporting goods has guns. If there's nobody in that department, who's to say somebody wouldn't come along, tamper with a lock, take some ammunition or perhaps a gun that's been bolted and head out the door, and nobody would be much the wiser. Oh, by the way, did I mention last year around this time they got rid of door greeters? Now, some stores, from what I understand, have brought them back, but the vast majority, including the one where I used to work, either don't have them anymore or have one or two that basically float between the doors. And I've heard from not just my old store, but many other stores, that when they got rid of door greeters, theft went up big time. This doesn't surprise me. This doesn't surprise me that customer satisfaction is way down. I worked at the register for a year and a half after they moved me from electronics, which, by the way, was involuntary. I saw this firsthand, and they wondered why I was in such a bad mood. Well, when you get cussed out by customers who can't find what they're looking for, who realize that maybe Walmart doesn't have exactly the same lowest prices they used to have, that's something that I want you to know about. Not everything at Walmart is actually cheaper. The reality is, people are wisening up. Walmart is not the great experience it once was. And people are starting to make more money. The economy is improving slowly but surely. And people are realizing they don't have to sacrifice service. If they sacrifice a little bit in the wallet, they get better service at Target, at Costco, and at other places. A lot of rural towns, like the one I live in, only have a Walmart and a few dollar discount places that pretty much are like your Family Dollar, your Dollar General, and places like that. We have a Big Lots. That's about it. So really, Walmart's the only realistic place to shop. But grocery stores who were fearing that Walmart would take away their business are finding that they're actually getting bigger business, because Walmart can't keep the shelf stocked. Meanwhile, regular grocery stores can keep the shelf stocked. And when you know you can find something at a store, you tend to go to that store. So it wouldn't surprise me if Walmart grocery sales are actually down. How much? Well, it depends. Some people will still go to Walmart because it's cheaper and they get more bang for their buck. But hey, if you can't find what you're wanting for on a consistent basis, you're going to go, you know what? I'll pay a little bit more if I know damn well what I want is going to be there. Now, at the store I worked at, the shelving problem wasn't as bad as described, but I know for a fact from other stores, having talked to people that work at other stores, that the problems are just as bad there, if not worse. It's because they simply don't have enough people, and the people they do have are worked relentlessly. There's only so much you can get out of people. And ideally, you want to work people close to capacity without exhausting them. You want to work them to where they're feeling comfortable working, where they're busy but not too busy to where their tongues are hanging out, where they can actually feel like they're enjoying their job, where they're actually doing it and still being able to, cut up a little bit every once in a while. It's not that bad of a thing, but the fact is, when you have demand so much of your employees and you have so few to actually do the job, it wears on employees. Productivity goes down. You lose more than you gain, and in the end, it's going to hurt Walmart. If they don't stop this, Walmart stores are going to start closing because they're going to start losing money. And whose fault is that? It sure as hell ain't the workers. It's going to be management and home office. In no way, shape, or form should management bonuses be tied to lowering payroll. Yes, payroll needs to be kept in check with sales, of course, but it shouldn't be so slaved to it. You want to have enough people working the floor at key times to make sure that stuff gets sold. But you want to make sure people are working a consistent schedule so they're at their absolute best. When you have people working a 7 to 4 one day, a 3 to 11 the next, and a 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 the next day, and a lot of workers are lucky to even get that, then that doesn't make for very productive workers. You have, and Walmart could learn from Costco, but unfortunately Walmart has the arrogance of saying, hey, we're the biggest company on the country, on the block. They're just as bad of a bureaucracy as the federal government is. They're about as big. They don't have the budget, but they, look at how much sales they have. Nearly half a trillion dollars in revenue. $500 billion in revenue. And they can't hire more workers. They can't hire more full-time workers. They can't sacrifice profit to improve customer satisfaction, to generate more profit and more sales. No. Because that would mean that the Walton family would lose in their dividend. That would mean stockholders, and not all of them are employees. In fact, a minority of them are actually employees, and a small minority would lose dividends. Now, Walmart stock is trading really high at $77, which is interesting to note because generally stocks are not always indicative of how a store is actually doing. Yeah, sales are stagnant right now. They're not improving, but somehow or another they're still generating a profit, and the profit's coming off of the backs of the workers because they're not hiring as many, and the ones they do have aren't getting the hours, and a lot of them are basically barely making it. A lot of them are on welfare. A lot of them are on food stamps. And guess who pays that? You and I. And guess what? Walmart is paying that from their taxes. And of course, what does the GOP want to do? Cut welfare. Yeah, that's going to really go over well with your going to Walmart going, yeah, where's the cereal? We don't have enough people to stock it out there. If it's sitting in the back, it can't be sold. If you don't have enough people to put the stuff out there, how's it going to get out there? Teleportation? You don't have a transporter by any chance, do you? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous what they're doing. And it hurt Kmart to the point where they're almost a shadow of their former selves. It destroyed Circuit City. It's hurt other retailers. You have to invest in people and a people-oriented business. If you want to treat the customer right, you have to make sure the employees are happy. If the employees are happy, more often than not, the customers will be happy. If the customers are happy, they'll buy more. Why is Walmart not realizing this? Because they only look at the bottom line. They don't look at the bigger picture. They're looking at cutting expenses instead of generating revenue. They don't understand that if you have more people out on the floor to help people, more people will come in, more people will buy stuff because they'll be happy. They'll say, hey, I wanted to come in for a frying pan, but you know what? Since you helped me out, I'm going to buy a couple more things and head out the door. Because I feel like I feel really, really good. You want customers to feel happy. If your employees are stressed out because they can't get their job done, of all the tasks they've been assigned and all the stock they got to put out, and helping customers are being stressed out because of it, guess what? Customers aren't going to be happy. Unhappy employees make for unhappy customers. Happy employees make for happy customers. Why is Walmart Home Office not seeing that? Because they only see the money. They don't see the bigger picture. This executive vice president they've put in stocking to solve this stocking crisis, he's probably going to have a bunch of different solutions that doesn't really address the key problem. Hire more people, get the stuff out on the shelves, hire more people on the floor to sell the stuff, to make sure it's where it's supposed to be, and you will find that more sales will take place. What is missing in the brains of Walmart management? They don't see the clear logic that would be clear to a Vulcan zygote, much less a Walmart manager, because they're blinded by profit motive alone. They just want to generate profit. They don't care about expenses. They don't care about revenue. They just want to see profit. They want to cut revenue. They want to cut expenses and generate revenue. Well, the problem is they're not generating the revenue, but they're cutting expenses. And if you cut expenses enough, hey, it'll generate profit, but you're sacrificing revenue. Hey, if you invest more in your employees, maybe you'll make $700 billion in sales and revenue. You ever think of that? Hell, you may even hit the $1 trillion mark. So all those things about Walmart, you can get it, the thing about Walmart, you can get it online and at the store the very same day within an hour or so. It's kind of hard to do when you don't have people out on the floor to actually take the item off the shelf. First of all, to make sure that they've actually got it. And yeah, the perpetual inventory system doesn't exactly work perfectly. Trust me, I've had my bad experiences with it. So, ladies and gents, what have we learned? The biggest company in the United States, Walmart, isn't infallible. In fact, they're more than fallible, but the only reason they stay the way they are is because they're so damn cheap. But the problem is people are getting tired of so damn cheap and not getting any customer service and standing in long lines at Walmart's registers. They want service. They want quick to get in and get out. I could go on and on for hours upon this, but I can't because it's time for me to say goodbye because it's time to show the end. For the show to end. So I'm going to leave with this. I worked at Walmart for 5.5 years. It was a great place to work when I got there. It went downhill very quickly. It's sad because there were a lot of good people who left that store who either were fired because their performance dropped off because they got stressed out or they left on their own accord. When you lose good people and you replace them with just average folks making minimum wage off the street, you lose something. When you don't have enough people on the floor, you lose sales. That is from me, John T. Hill. I've worked retail for almost 15 years. I know what I'm talking about. Folks, I'll talk to you later. Good night, good luck, and may the good news be yours.